Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Songwriters Lounge with myself, Andy, and my buddy Tom.
Hello everyone.
Hello, we are back with another episode, and this is another interview episode where we talked to the incredible Broadway singer-songwriter, musical theatre songwriter, Joey Contreras, who was he was a barrel of laughs, to be honest. This is a really funny episode. We had a lot of good banter here.
Just a great guy in general, and even when we stopped recording, we had a good 15-20 minute chat with him after. Just a great person, and not to mention the talent. If you haven't heard of him,
talented
you're
guy.
about to, because he's about to release his actual own show called In Pieces, which we're thrilled about.
It's
wouldn't you say, Andy?
So cool. It's sounding so cool. And the guy, I was a massive fan of the guy for years when I heard his early stuff. And both me and Tom are massive fans of musical theatre as well. So it's another cool edge to bring to the show, which is a songwriter that's, down the musical theatre avenue, which I'm, on the side massively passionate about as well. So, but yeah, what a lovely, lovely guy, hugely talented, and I definitely think his new In Pieces musical is going to make waves because, check that stuff out, guys. It is incredible. Really, really solid stuff.
So the soundtrack of that will be out now, won't it? By the time that you guys are listening to this.
I think so. Yeah, I think by the time this is out, it should be out. It's on April the 16th. So if you're listening to this and it's beyond April the 16th, then go listen after this episode to Joey's new album, In Pieces, the musical.
100%. It's something for everyone as well. I think everyone at some level loves musical theatre.
Yeah.
And with Joey's songs, you as soon as they come on and you hear them, you're hooked. You want to know what's next. And he has a great way about him with lyrics. His lyrics are particularly good and his melodies are great. So you'll get hooked as soon as you start listening to these songs because they're incredible.
Sure will. So without further ado, guys, enjoy this episode. Enjoy the laughs, enjoy the music, enjoy some of the funny stories that Joey's going to tell you, and we'll see you at the end of the episode. Enjoy. Bye, guys. Welcome, guys, to the Songwriters Lounge, where we have another amazing interview prepared for you today, and we have a great songwriter in the form of Joey Contreras, who has been branded a Broadway pop crossover extraordinaire. I know that's quite a mouthful for me to say. After receiving international recognition from both his standalone music and his work kind of writing contemporary musicals. His work has been sung by some Broadway icons, such as original cast leads from Newsies the Musical, Jeremy Jordan and Ben Fankhauser. We've got him working with the original lead from Mean Girls, Taylor Louderman, and incredible industry's vocal expert and coach, Natalie Weiss. His songs have been streamed millions of times, and they are regularly performed at Broadway's famous venues like 54 Below and Joe's Pub at the Public Theatre. And he's been hailed as one of Playbill's contemporary musical theatre songwriters you should know. And I do completely agree with that. So let's not waste time any longer. Joey, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well. Did you commit that to memory, or are you reading?
I committed all that to memory, and
he memorized the whole thing. We were practicing for hours and hours
in the mirror.
I've literally not stopped in the mirror since I knew you were coming on the show. I've got it on my hand here.
I figured.
It's a seriously awesome intro, though. I just want to kick things off, Joey, by saying that my wife knew everyone you've ever worked with and knew yourself incredibly well. She has a bunch of your music on Spotify saved because she's such a musical fan. So if she pops in the background, she'll give you a wave, maybe cry.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, tell her thank you for listening.
I definitely will.
Might see a little jazz hand just
shimmy
around it in his background there.
In the background. But yeah, it's so great to have you on, Joey. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
We're super excited to chat to you.
Yeah. And you're a busy man at the moment, aren't you? So you've got a lot going on. So
I am. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, but I can always make time for my favorite people. So.
Thank you. I'm blushing.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get through a lot here, Joey, in this episode, because we want to cover things. We want to show some music, showcase some of your music. We want to, put it over to some of the listeners and some of your fans who have sent in some questions to us. But first of all, we'd quite like to just explore your early music life. How did all this songwriting business start for you? Was it a kind of conscious decision where you woke up one morning and thought, hey, I want to be a songwriter, or did it just sort of happen?
Well, I actually was raised around music my entire life. My mom was a singer. My dad was a musician. They had a cover band that they were in, and my mom was pregnant and still performing in clubs and bars and stuff. So she was like a pregnant singer, like singing Paula Abdul and Janet Jackson at these, clubs and bars and stuff. And so I was hearing all of the great pop music literally in the womb.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So that's why it's really just embedded in me. Yeah, so I started, my mom, started bringing me on stage as soon as she had me. So I would be like playing the tambourine and like singing backup and stuff, literally like a 3-4-year-old singing the songs. A lot of people especially like a lot of people's like early music careers start in the church or start in some kind of, I don't know,
school band or something.
School band, orchestra, stuff like that. But all of mine literally was like Madonna and Janet and all of the pop music and Mariah Carey and all that stuff. And I joked that instead of like lullabies, it was like I would be sung those songs instead. So yeah, I kind of was raised in it very, very early, and I loved it. So it wasn't like, mom was like, let's just throw music on him and that's his personality. I loved it. And I started tap dancing when I was 4 years old, started doing a lot of community theater. So it was a lot of just music and theater right away.
And you've got a funny story about tap dancing, which we have to embarrass you about, don't we?
Yes. Do you want me to talk about that right now? Is this Joey, the moment?
I think you need to get it over with.
Let's jump in. Let's rip that Band-Aid off.
You have not been able to stop thinking about this since you were made privy to this information.
Agreed. Fully agree.
I mean, it kind of was a peak of my career, really, to be honest. And it was right out of college. I booked a Japanese sausage commercial. Ooh. Where I tap danced with sausage links on a fork, and it's actually quite a spectacular commercial. It's very musical theater and it was a big production, and it's still available on YouTube. You can find it, Nippon Ham commercial.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Oh, we will.
Yes, wearing a nice pink sweater and a smile.
What I love about that story is like, so from the age of 4 you were tap dancing, so you had like pop music from the womb, and then very early age you were just rhythm. So it is pretty much all natural. Like you're literally grown up into it.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, actually. And tap is such a rhythmic art dance form. So and that kind of actually is very much my vocabulary when it comes to writing, is very rhythm forward, syncopation forward. It's the one thing that I lock into, groove and everything before anything. And I'm terrible at remembering lyrics to songs, but I'll remember every hit, every riff. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting observation.
I was going to say there, that must have been the highlight of your career at the very start, and it's all downhill from there. Because how do you top a Japanese sausage commercial?
Especially to a kid who like went to musical theater school and like I was not the golden child in college, and suddenly like I did my theater showcase and I booked this Japanese sausage commercial, and like I was like suddenly the most booked and blessed person in my class for a short moment.
That is such a fantastic story. What an icebreaker you have. Like, I love that kind of stuff. I would always be proud of that if I did that. I don't have anywhere near the talent to do that. So I commend you, man. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, one day, maybe we'll do a tap lesson over Zoom. I'll get you some tap shoes. It's time to dust off my tap shoes as well. So
let's do it. I'm all in.
Hold them to it. Hold them to it. Hey guys, I think it's time for a cheeky songwriting challenge, don't you? This is where mid-podcast episode, I challenge my buddy and co-host Tom to write a vocal hook on top of an instrumental provided by our podcast sponsors, Jet Tracks, and I make the theme deliberately hard for him. Good luck with this theme, Tom. It's melons.
You can slice them, dice them, chop them up in 1,000 pieces. You can squeeze them, freeze them, even make it a smoothie for the morning or the evening. I can taste it, it's like heaven. Ever wonder why I sometimes cry in the dead of the night by your side? It's 'cause I'm out of melons. I'm all out.
yeah.
So going into songwriting then, Joey, because that's what I'm particularly interested about is, can you remember like writing your first song? Or
I can sort of remember it. There's lots of photos of me like hovered over my mom and my dad's keyboards and synths and everything. And I had like a little toy Casio, like literally one octave baby keyboard thing that I would like play with and write on. I remember I very vaguely, but still vividly at the same time, remember writing some kind of songs in my room on that keyboard, usually to just like make my mom happy or something. I don't know. I feel like they were fun for me, and it was fun to play for my mom.
Wow. So that sounds like quite young, to be honest.
Yeah. But I also, I guess honestly, like I started like really writing music, still quote unquote young. Like I was in the studio, writing songs at 12, and that's like how I think of myself, as like when I professionally started writing music, and that's still young. Wow. So I guess maybe that is young as well. I had like a band, and I went to a boarding high school, so like I just
interesting.
There's a lot of like a lot of places in my journey, I guess. But I wrote music in a band, and then I went to boarding school, and I continued to like lock myself into practice rooms and playing songs, writing songs instead of journaling, instead of like writing in a journal or anything.
Yeah.
I wrote all my feelings and emotions, which I had many, out in songs and everything. And so I kind of started writing really seriously around that time, like hundreds of songs. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And so like you said that you obviously learned tap dancing at a young age. Did you go for a keyboard or piano lessons at a young age too, or?
I did have some piano lessons, but I kind of didn't really have like a long-term formal training. So I still kind of tell people that I'm self-taught. Because my dad was self-taught, my mom, my dad also were self-taught musicians. And I guess it was also just because I was, to be honest, like a really busy kid. I was doing a lot of theater, like all over the place. Like I was doing sometimes 8 shows a week, and I went to independent study at one point. Like I feel like I was like a child star without the money. Or the drugs, I guess.
Exactly.
But yeah, I was always busy. So like I was doing theater every night and then writing songs and then went on independent study and then went to boarding school. And so I just didn't really have time, and doing dance classes, I didn't really have time for like piano lessons, even though like you would think that would be like the first thing I would start doing, or like such a major part of my life, but it really kind of wasn't.
Wow. I mean, I tell you what, Tom, the guy can play piano. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
like,
I've
to be
seen-
self-taught on that level, I've got my imaginary hat off to you, Joey.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you. It's gotten me to some places. My husband is much better. It's been funny to watch like our relationship, because he's also a musician and a songwriter and a music director and all of those things. And he's so talented. And it was so interesting to watch you work, because it's so not the way I work, because I work, you know, I find every way possible, because I don't have like necessarily the technique in theory. And so much of it is just like, again, rhythm in my body and just kind of like emotion and subtext and all that stuff. And he's like, he knows more like keys and harmonic pitches and centers and time signatures and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
Cool.
I want to come around to your house for dinner one day and just listen to you guys write music. And I'll join in here and there, but I think I'll be well out of my depth.
Yeah. You're more than welcome. That's like, I mean, especially once all of this, like, you know, COVID nonsense is done. I think we're going to throw a lot of like, you know, just piano parties and piano dinner parties. Yeah.
Sounds so good. You're enticing me to New York every time we speak.
But the most important question is, Joey, who does the better cooking?
Oh gosh, you know, it sucks because I think he does, but I am the guy that like loves Top Chef. I love cooking. I'm such a foodie. Like, food is so number one in my life, like in addition to music and Britney Spears. And that like, but he's a very good chef. So I'm gonna say it's probably him.
Oh,
you get to eat it at least. Like, you get to.
Yeah.
That's very important. Yeah, it worked out.
It's a good win.
Very much did work.
Do you cook well? How? Because you're both married, right?
Yeah. So I do all the cooking. So it's a funny story. So my wife works for Yelp. You know, Yelp, the food app.
Yeah.
So she has a fantastic job. So we always get to go out and try new restaurants and things. But
Nice.
the woman can't cook to save her life.
So that job is really out of like necessity.
Very much so.
Was not. Yeah.
She's great with people, and she's great at speaking to people that know a lot about food. Mm-hmm. So I'm very much the chef in my house, and my brother is a professional chef. So I learned some things from him, but I'm nothing special. Everything we try and eat healthy as we can anyway.
Are you like plant-based? Are you gluten-free? Are you
nah, none of that. We'll eat anything and everything.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
awesome.
I love the direction we've taken. It's like we're on a food podcast now, and not a music podcast.
Yeah, well, you know, seasoning and food, seasoning and music, it's all the same.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, sprinkle that.
It's all about that creativity, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so we've talked a bit about your early life and your early kind of introduction into songwriting and music. I guess one of the sections me and Tom want to focus on within this season 2 is, when was the moment that you kind of had the, inverted commas, the break? And what we mean by that is, was there a particular time where you feel like your music and your songs started to get taken seriously as a songwriter, and you know, you started to get interest from either big names in the industry, or you know, was there record labels or publishers or management people that were starting to take an interest? How did that kind of moment look for you?
Well, I'll just be clear. I'm still, you know, even, you know, 10 plus years into this career, still have to hustle and grind and get people to listen and get people to think I'm awesome. Like, it never ends. The gatekeepers, they are, you know, they are there.
Forever
and
moving.
they make things tough. But I would say that even though I was writing a lot of pop music, very, very young, because I like I said, I idolized Britney Spears, and I wanted to be like a male Britney Spears. So I was like writing pop music when doing dance routines and stuff like that for like in performances. And you know, my mom was very encouraging of that. She was like, yeah, follow your dreams, do it. She was like copywriting the songs and like making sure that like everything was, you know.
Find your inner Britney.
But I would say that probably like when I started feeling like, okay, this was really something and kind of really put me on the path that I'm on now is with my song Love Me Not. It sort of started everything as far as like people wanting to listen and putting me on track to have like, you know, people singing my music. And it really jump started this path for me, which is crazy because I wrote it when I was 20 years old and I'm still, you know, I'm still
known for it.
I'm still known for it. Yeah. And there's still kids, the new generation is learning it. And it's amazing to see how that song has had such a journey and continues to have a journey for people and for me.
And you were telling me that, was it that particular song that you told me that you heard someone like in an audition room or something? Like while you were waiting?
Yes. By the way, they're doing some construction near me. I don't hope it's not too loud.
You're all good, man. You're all good.
It's organic. This is organic.
Yeah, it's New York. I was hoping that they would, it's a holiday. So I was like hoping that they would just like take the holiday, but they decided not to. So
hard workers.
Yeah, they really want to make this building, clearly. But yeah, well, yeah, Love Me Not. It's such a funny thing because when that was 2008, 2009, I was just about to graduate college and the contemporary musical theater scene was starting to find a place on YouTube, and YouTube was still, you know, in its kind of newish stages or whatnot. I guess it may be in like 5 or 6 years, but it was contemporary musical theater was finding a place there on YouTube, a platform. And my only thoughts were like, okay, well, I want to put my music on YouTube. I want people to hear it. And then I was like, well, I guess I better start selling sheet music so that people can sing it. And I guess because I went to a musical theater program and I knew what a musical theater kid's life was like. I just wanted to be able to provide my music for them to sing in their musical theater life. And so that's what I did. And then I moved to New York and, you know, I was planning to be an actor and was in audition holding rooms, waiting rooms. And pretty soon I would, you know, you would sometimes overhear what the person was singing in the room and everything. And suddenly I started hearing Love Me Not being sung a lot. And that was like amazing. I hope they legally purchased it. But I also, it was weird because it was like my name is printed on their sheet music. And then like, I felt a little weird if like the next person that goes in the room is like the person that wrote the song. And it's, you know, it doesn't really matter, but I felt a little weird, like being like, okay, maybe I need to just start focusing more on the writing because that's the thing that is working out right now.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That is awesome, man. And like one thing that we learned, so we've just done season 1 of the podcast and we got asked a question that I thought was a great question. It was, how do you come up with a clever song title? And it made us think a lot of the time about, well, how do you come up with a clever song title? And we thought about like the emotions you feel when you even just read the title. And this one, Love Me Not, is one that everyone can relate to because guaranteed you've heard it in like a wonderfully produced Disney movie or like on TV. And it's always, I don't know, it's a very emotionally driven title, let alone the song is also amazing. But just that, so I just wanted to point out that I think you did a fantastic job, not only with the song, but just the thought behind the title as well is just, it's really clever, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. I gotta like pat 20-year-old Joey on the back because, you know, I was I was writing music at 12, 13 and I definitely like, I think I knew more than I feel like I knew, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But now, like when I teach songwriting or if I talk to people about, you know, that kind of stuff, Love Me Not as a concept is a brilliant concept. But I don't even know if I was thinking about that when I was writing this song, but I must have been, because I know that even with a song called Great Cool that I have, I liked the idea of how these phrases and how they lend themselves to interpretation and also are very much in just everyday conversation. You talk to somebody, you're like, oh yeah, great, cool, awesome. And I liked that, just the ease of it, and then embedding a lot more of a story and kind of flipping it upside down on its head. And how many different ways can you look at great, cool, and how many different ways can you look at love me not,
Yeah.
It's also like,
cool.
even when you say it, especially in your accent, it works much better than mine or Andy's, but it's
Even more
very,
mine.
even more Andy's, let's be honest. But it's very rhythmic. The love me not, the double into the triplet is something that I'm sure a lot of people, you would never think about it, but it's very phonetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And let alone like the words love me not is something that I just wanted to praise you for that, man, because it's something that not a lot of people will ever think about, but it's so important. And I think you just smashed it out of the park with this one.
Thank you.
Even the title, let alone the song. Go listen to the song, you guys. We'll have clips of it for sure, but the song itself is great.
Let's play it. Without
do it.
further ado, play a snippet of it, guys.
That was my secret segue, you guys.
That was a sweet segue. Tom.
I was on it. I was on the segue.
We were all
"Let's go."
segueing
Yeah.
down that road. So yeah, without further ado, this is a little snippet. You can obviously check out the full thing on Joey's own socials and music platforms. However, this is Love Me Not, the duet version.
Fantastic. It's just fantastic.
I mean,
Riff-alicious.
I mean, it's insane.
Is that a word?
That's insane. I'm happy that's my song.
Dude, it's just like, it's one of those things like you listen to and it's got everything you'd ever want in a, you can definitely tell you can hear the musical like theatre influence, but you can also hear so many other things, acoustic influence. It's like you wrote it on a piano and you were this grade 8 pianist just going like up and down the piano with these riffs, and then you intertwine it so nicely with the duet that it's just fantastic. There's no other word for it.
Thank you. I think what you're saying about how there's definitely musical theater, but then there's these other components to it. That's how I always sort of tell people the way I write music is that because I don't necessarily like have a strong grasp on like golden age musical theater. My palette of my music palette comes from so much pop music and comes from a lot of and whatever that means, and that within that comes rock and R&B and soul and folk and country and all of that stuff, because I look at all of that as being some kind of form of pop. What is pop music, but so I write with contemporary musical theater with a pop lens, and I write pop music with a contemporary musical theater lens. It sort of goes back and forth, and
you get that kind of fusion.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And then with this duet version, I mean, this was a dream come true. Like the original version with Natalie is, piano driven with strings and still very simple and a little bit more legato melodic lines.
Yeah.
And then, I always wanted to do an acoustic version of it, and we had done an acoustic version of it live with Ben, and that was like acoustic with a band, and Ben is insane and unbelievable, So when you're working with Natalie Weiss and Ben Fankhauser, it's like you're in such good hands vocally and musician wise. Like they're both incredible musicians. You can't sing that way and construct your you're phrasing that way without having such a strong musicality.
And did you have Joey? Did you have like a good like hand in their riffs? Did you like say, "Oh, I want this riff," or did they kind of come to you and say, "Oh, I've got this riff, Joey"? Like,
I mean,
how did that work?
What's fun about that is that so much of the riffing, the duet landscape and shape, really was Natalie and Ben working together and figuring out where they could intertwine and be just cool, and different. And I had always wanted a duet version after we'd done Ben's version, and then I was doing a concert, and Natalie was like, "Well, maybe this is the time that Natalie's like, maybe this is the time I can do a duet version with Ben." And I was like, "Absolutely, let's do it." So we got into a room, and I kind of like created a basic, like the bad version of what the duet could be, just like, okay, there's the thirds here and they're that, blah, blah, blah. But then it was like, now how can we find a key where both vocalists can shine, and then also give the children what they expect and want from Natalie and Ben, because they are both riffing geniuses.
Riffing legends.
They are riffing legends. They're icons. But also respect and maintain the integrity of the song and the lyric, and, not overshadow that. So it really is a balancing act. So after we got into a room with, all of us, the guitarists, me, Natalie, and Ben, and kind of looking at some of the like things like, oh, I want you to kind of go like, what you don't know is that I do. Like, I want you to do that, and then Natalie and Ben went over to like Natalie's apartment and like worked on it. They, videotaped themselves. They sent the stuff to me, and they're like, do you like that? Is that over the top? Is that too much? Is this cool? And I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, it was really collaborative when it came to what the duet version became. Yeah.
And I love the way that the vocals in the song are just balanced so well. And Tom will appreciate this as well, where, we've talked a lot on season 1 about with tracks that we've reviewed, vocals can often compete for that space and that frequency. And especially when both these vocals are so agile, so like dynamic, and especially with the riffing, there's just that kind of, there's a danger that they'll compete against each other and you won't necessarily have that clarity. And in the mix, you still have like both their like tone and timbre just really distinct, and like they're kind of moving with each other. It's just a well-balanced kind of vocal track, and I really liked the production and the way that mix didn't kind of take away from the song and didn't kind of prevent us from enjoying the riffing, and prevent it from becoming a bit too much of a vocal kind of intertwining mess.
Yeah,
you get me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much. I love hearing your experience with it, because I don't talk to a lot of people. Don't come to me to talk about things like that specifically. They're not talking about like, I love that you left space in the production for what's happening. And that's such an important thing to talk about when you're producing a record, is like, it's all about figuring out the space, carving out the space, making sure it's it's all intention. It's all intention. And in this case, I didn't need to like pack so much stuff into it, because the vocals are the thing that needs to be highlighted, that needs to shine. And there's already a lot that's happening in the vocal. So, I was just leaving room for that.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job. And just to highlight that, I just think how you've managed to, like what Andy said with you don't want anything to clash. It doesn't clash. It moves together, and it's very fluid. And hats off to the performers, but hats off to you as the songwriter, and hats off to the producer, because the top end, like the high frequencies that he's or she has produced on especially Natalie's vocal, is outstanding. Like, it's so clear. You understand every word they're saying. The diction is fantastic.
Yeah. All
round, it's a really lovely piece. You couldn't have done any more to make it any better. And usually, like, I try and listen to something to pick something out, and I couldn't with this, because it's so naturally pleasing. And you can tell that there's a lot of work that's gone into it. So again, man, this interview is just going to be me saying, hats off to you, man. You hit it out the park.
I'm gonna replay this whenever I'm feeling low, and I
should.
need to hear it to pick me up. Like,
But like I say again, like a lot of people ask us, like, how do you know what producers to work with? And it's like, I think you'd know. I think you'll know if you find someone. And again, like what you've done here is you found people to work with that highlight everything in your head as a songwriter. Mm-hmm. And
that's important. Again,
you've just done it so well that it's so natural. It's so natural to listen to that people that are, you know, the fact that the best musicians in the world to people that just enjoy listening to music can sit down and just be like, this is awesome.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, pick people that you vibe with and pick people that are smarter than you. Like those are two things that you need to, for any kind of collaboration, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. Totally. You can tell that you've all learned something off each other as well, which is another great highlight to mention. Just you learn something off everyone you work with, and I love it, man. This one is one of my favorites that you've done for all of those reasons.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move on now to a new song,
okay.
Which is, I mean, if you thought that was good, then we'll move on to Joey's most. Would you say this is the most streamed song?
This is the most. Is this Break From the Line?
Yeah.
Yes, Break From the Line. I thought that we should include this because of the fact that it is my most streamed song. And the story behind it is sort of, you know, special, and also has clearly connected with a lot of people. So it's definitely done a great thing for my career.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
And I love in this, and again, we'll play a short snippet, but particularly for me in this song, I love the lyrics. I love like it paints such a clear like picture of like the ambition that a lot of Broadway hopefuls can relate to, I'm sure, when they are like struggling to shine, which is a line in the song itself, you know. So I felt like when I listened to this song for the first time, I could like feel myself in the audition room or on the audition like stage with like, you know, the spotlights on you and you're like feeling the pressure and the anticipation, but you're like determined as well. So all of that like emotion is in those lyrics for me. And the melody obviously emphasizes it, don't get me wrong, but lyrically I just thought, yeah, this is a hit.
Oh, yay. I like that. I'm glad.
So what we'll do now is we'll play a little snippet from Break From the Line, and here it is now.
All this power in other hands. I'm not the only one who understands this right. Filled with passion I just can't hide. So I know that I'm not the only one that's aiming to fly through the sky and be the one they call on the stage. Finally in the light, who's been chasing this day where things are looking right? Still I look around me, everyone struggling to shine. But someday I will break from the line. I have to.
There's a wee bit in that where, like, on the keys, you kind of go bum 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 bum, and all I could think about was a rabbit like hopping, but like in a really cute, like a cute rabbit.
A cute rabbit. Rabbits are cute. Like rabbits are cute. You know.
This one is so hooky. There's like 4 or 5 hooks in just even that snippet we listened to. Again, very rhythmic. I'm getting this theme in your songwriting that obviously the tap lessons and they've just like stamped this rhythm in you that I would think you were a drummer if I was listening to stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's so cool, and it changes. It's got that thing that all songwriting needs in tension and release. It adds that, it takes it away, but then it adds this new element, and every kind of few bars, something new comes in.
Syncopation?
Always. Yeah, it's quality. Yeah. It's so rhythmic, and so, again, the performance is great. The piano is outstanding. Everything.
I appreciate that, definitely. Yeah, I love, it's always, to me, what's important is always hook on hook on hook. Like you just need to constantly be delivering another hook on a hook, whether that be, you know, melodic, rhythmic, lyrically, something that, you know, excites the listener. I love that. I love building songs and building hooks. And definitely I am a sucker for rhythm and syncopation, which can be tough sometimes to teach singers.
Yeah.
They have to live in that, and you got to find different ways to sort of like articulate that. That's like another thing that's interesting, kind of like being a songwriter that is writing for other people to sing. You know, it's not just me like writing songs for me. It's writing songs that then need to live in other bodies.
Yeah, sure, man. And like what you've done as well is, I'm going back to the rhythmic thing because it's all I'm about. So I'm a drummer, so I hear this. What you've done with the piano is you've found the pockets between the vocals that need to be filled with something, and you've filled it with that syncopation, or you've filled it with an interesting chord that highlights that melody that's about to come. As you said you build the song, and you really get a sense of that, and you get a sense that a lot of thought's gone into it. But again, it also sounds very natural. So I think it's great for people to listen to this that might be thinking about, how do I break into musical theatre? Or how do I start writing songs that could fit this kind of field? These are great songs for them to go and listen to and just really almost study them. And like, I just think it's great. I think it's going to inspire some people. We've had a ton of people ask us about musical theatre, and to be honest, I don't know much about it. I couldn't sit down and do it. So the fact that we've now get to speak to someone like yourself is it's inspiring for them, but also for me, who just loves listening to it, mate. So again, knocked out of the park. That's going to be my theme.
Love it. You can insert like a sound cue or something, like a home run.
I need to. Yeah.
What percentage, Joey, do you think is like just in the moment writing, and what is like what Tom said there, like, you know, a deliberate kind of musical theory type thing, like it is like at 90% just like feeling in the moment when you're writing, and then the other 10% is like you finessing it, or is it like 50-50?
I mean, it really kind of varies, I guess. But I am a firm believer in throwing everything on the page and then seeing what's there and then kind of going from there. Because I think that like and this is a habit that any songwriter goes through. It doesn't matter how many songs they write that are quote unquote hits or are super popular or anything like that. It's like every time you go back to starting a new song, you can kind of know where some tools and things to get you out of a writer's block or out of, you know, whatever that kind of staring at the blank page is. But it really kind of just, you don't want to start editing your song too soon, basically. You don't want to just start, you know, writing a verse and then being like, this is not good. Write through it and see. I mean, sometimes you'll know if it's like, okay, this is really not good. This is shit. But like, I kind of think you need to write through the bad to find the good. Sometimes, you know?
Cool. I love that.
Absolutely.
And with this song, this comes from a very personal experience, and I just was very, actually very like mad and wanted to like, you know, prove the person that didn't give me the job that I would get the job one day, you know.
For sure.
And so that was really
to the man.
Yeah, I was really packed in there, and was sort of like, but didn't want it to be angry. I wanted it to be full of like celebration and celebrating yourself and knowing that you're gonna break from the line. So
yeah. Self-confidence.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Should we have another song? Should we have a last song?
Cheeky last song, yeah.
Cheeky last song? So this last one is called Wild. Tell me a bit about Wild, Joey. What's Wild about? How did it come about? That kind of thing.
Sure. Wild started kind of two different ways. Concept first, where I just wanted to write a song about open relationships and trying to navigate that. And then I also wanted to write a song that was a little bit more traditional kind of pop structure with kind of like 4 chords over and over again, and just seeing kind of like where I can grow and create a shape from that. Mm-hmm. And I don't tend to like start there. And sometimes will start piano and figure out some things, but I actually start a lot of my music away from the piano and just sort of hum in my voice notes and just to kind of unlock a rhythm, because I think that piano is not necessarily a very rhythmic instrument. You know, I think that if I played guitar, I might be able to find a little bit more of those like grooves that kind of live inside me, but I feel like I become a little square sometimes if I start writing at the piano. And that might just be me, and some other person could say, oh no, you whatever. But I tend to write I like to write away from the piano. So a lot of this was sort of written away from the piano, a lot of me being like, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a lot of that kind of
your voice notes.
Yeah, we all know that stuff. And yeah, so it started that way. And then I met with a guitarist and worked with a guitarist, and we kind of figured out the groove there. And then my producer really fleshed out this vibe that we landed on. So that's
and we've got a cheeky behind the scenes voice memo, haven't we?
Yes.
So we'll play it first, and then you can tell us what the hell we've just listened to. Right, here we go. Here's a voice memo behind the scenes of Joey writing Wild.
I don't know if the Hear Me Out needs it. Oh, I mean,
That's also kind of sick. Sing that though.
I know I'm not a saint, so I cannot be a preacher now. But I'm lying wide awake, you would hear me out. All of these open cages, making you rearrange.
Let's actually keep that.
Lying wide awake, hear me out.
I think maybe.
I love that. That is
Wow,
so
that's
cool.
some incredible vocals right there.
I wonder, like, for some, like, I even wonder, like, for you guys, like, what does that sound so chaotic? I guess it is kind of chaotic, but I at least know what's happening in this.
I mean, what I got from it is like you're like playing some back as well, like on your you know, your software, and you're also in the moment like jamming to it. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, that was during the recording session with Antonio for Wild, and it's crazy because when we recorded the vocals, it was literally just the guitar. There was nothing else. The track had not been fleshed out at all, and I didn't even know when I first wrote it. I was like, maybe it's just a little bit more, like guitar and snaps. Like I didn't know if it was gonna be like that kind of vibe or like how it fleshed out I wanted it to be. And so because of that, I wanted to make sure that there were some really interesting vocal arrangements that were happening in the background. And so I love stacking vocals. I love like all of that kind of like, you know, counterpoint vocal arrangements happening and stuff like that. That's probably some of my favorite parts. So that was after we laid down a lead vocal, we started stacking BGVs and figuring out how that puzzle worked in a cool way.
That's so cool. So let's play a little snippet of it now, and then we'll talk some more. Here is Wild.
Wild, whoa. God knows I'm not a saint, so I can never be a preacher now. But I'm lying wide awake, hoping that you would hear me out. All of these open cages, making new rearrangements, and every night I wonder if I like you out in the wild, 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 wild. All of these open cages, making new rearrangements, and every night I wonder if I like.
Yeah,
It's cool, man. It's cool. It's like a great for people listening that maybe are trying to figure out what songwriting means. I think it's a great example of the track breathes. Like there's so much push and pull going on with the instrumental, with the vocals, as you said. Like there's a lot of vocal stacking, but the bass in it is so cool, and you bring it away at a nice time to emphasize something in the back. It's just very cleverly composed and arranged that I think is a great example for people that maybe want that first-hand example when you listen to something and you can really hear what you guys have done. And I think you've built the audio space beautifully and it's balanced to perfection. Like everything is just right where it needs to be, hits at the right time, in the right range. Fantastic, mate.
Thank you.
And
I love that.
Me and Tom love electric guitar riff, don't we? And this
Oh,
for
yes.
me, like
It's great, yeah.
See the start, Joey, where it's like it's kind of like a hooky riff.
Yeah, right?
Like yeah, it's like a hooky riff. But see, like within that section we just heard there, it got like so much more crunchy and distorted and punchy.
Yeah.
Was that like a...
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like this, the magic of this song. I mean, what I love about, I'm proud of this song because I think it's because I like it. I'm proud of the song. I like it. I think the vocal performance is amazing. I think the production's great, but I also think that the bones of the song are good. I've done the song live with just a piano and a vocalist before, and I think that the song still sells itself because of just the story that's happening and all of that. And I think that's important. But in this situation, you know. Carl, my producer on it, he built everything. He took that one guitar that we had from my guitarist, and he probably, you know, used all of the sound toys on it, and like, you know, adding the delay and adding the distortion and adding so that it's the constant, but it's it's like a variation on a theme. You know what I mean? It's like how many ways can you, and to me, what's cool about that is that it can be pushed to the front, it can be put in the background. But the listener, they might not necessarily be able to put their finger on it, but it's still in the psychology of listening to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Complete sense, yeah. As you said, like the bones of the track is great, and some of the best advice I ever got especially when you got stuck in the weeds of like when you're a producer, songwriter, you can kind of get stuck with looking at a screen and trying to add too much. And some advice I got was like, you know, if the song doesn't sound good with just an instrument and a vocal, then maybe rethink some things. And you just said it right there, that the bones of the track are so good that you could play it on a piano with a singer and it's the same, just a different feel.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love there's at the very, very end, there's like a deliberate production choice where there's like a fade out where you can hear like the sounds of nature, which kind of emphasize that wild theme, which I just loved, like so different to what you've just heard the whole way through. But I don't know, it was like a little cool, interesting thing on the way out of the track. You know, I loved that.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, love closing your eyes and listening to a song and like really hearing the room and the world that is kind of being sonically created. So I just love like where all of that stuff kind of sits, like in this full 360 experience and everything. And the ending, that was Carl's choice. He added that literal environment sound touch at the end, and I was like, there's also, I think, even like a tiger roar, which we both kind of like collaborated on. I was like, I think I want to hear a tiger, and there's like something like packed in there.
That's awesome.
Like, which is so cool and fun.
I love that. Putting animals in music it's a thing. I put a sheep baying in one of my tracks.
I love that. That's so cool.
So, you know, if you can do it, do it. Yeah. That's what I say.
I completely agree. Yeah, but great. And as we said earlier, like you can check out all of these songs and more on Spotify, on Joey's website, joeycontreras.com. And right now is like one of our favorite sections, Joey, because we've both put out posts on social media and we've got people asking you very personal questions to the songs and how you've adapted over the years. And so the first one, we've got five questions. We'll try and get through them as quick as we can because I know we're running short on time. But this is a question from Nicola from Kent, and Andy is just going to play it now for you.
Hi, Joey and Andy and Tom. My name's Nicola, and my question for you, Joey, is what is your favourite musical or musicals and why? Thanks so much. I love the podcast and I love your work, Joey.
What an angel. What an angel.
So sweet. Nicola. Hi, Nicola. Favorite musicals. Last 5 years, Jason Nora Brown. It's just, I love it so much. I think that the story, I'm a sucker for romance gone wrong, or just, you know, a rich romance. and love and all that stuff. And the melodies, the grooves. Jason Robert Brown was a huge influence in me in college, and I think he's brilliant. So last 5 years, Company is Stephen Sondheim is another show that I adore. Again, about relationships and Sunday in the Park with George. Sondheim is also another show that it's the interval. Oh, and Waitress. So actually, Waitress, Sarah Bareilles' musical. I have a thing for intervals, like melodic intervals that like just cut you. And last 5 years, Sunday, Waitress, all have songs that just have these intervals that destroy me. And I love them. I love them.
Yeah,
they're all great
I have
choices.
a thing about intervals, big time. Yeah, the last 5 years is amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And I love the movie with Jeremy Jordan, who you've worked with.
Yeah.
You know, they did him and Anna Kendrick did such an amazing job on that. I thought, just bringing that musical to life, because it's such an incredible piece of art. So yeah, that's some good musicals there. I love that.
Well, thank you, Nicola, for that. And I think Waitress is definitely one of my favorites as well. I loved it.
Right.
Saw it on the West End in London. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You have to look up videos of Shoshana Bean and singing songs from it, like What Baking Can Do, and also Jordan Sparks from American Idol. Like Jordan Sparks, I don't know if you know her, but she, like, so insanely good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Shoshana Bean is just as good as well. She's fantastic.
She's an icon.
Both amazing.
I want to work with both of them so badly.
If you're listening, guys,
there's always time. There's always time.
Everyone tag Shoshana, tag Jordan.
Oh yeah, definitely. But thank you, Nicola, for that question. Next, we've got a question from Nikki from Indiana. Hey.
Hi, Joey. This is Nikki from Indiana, and I love musicals, but I've always wondered, how do you start when you're beginning to write a song for a musical? Do you know the story of the entire show first, or do you kind of build the story as you write the music? Which comes first? I'd love to know. Thank you.
Good question. What comes first? I think if you're writing a book musical, it's important to sort of know the tent poles and the song spots of your show. But when I, in the times that I've started writing book shows, you kind of just find moments that definitely need to be musicalized or are going to want to be musicalized, and you see what that feels like, see what that world feels like, and then you kind of will learn a lot. In a show that I'm writing right now, we had done a couple of songs. We found moments that we wanted to musicalize. And I developed I discovered a musical vocabulary in those songs. And then I ended up writing an overture because I just was like, I never write overtures. I was like, I just want to write an overture, which is and this was sort of backwards because I feel like usually when you write overtures, you have written the whole show and then you find all the themes and you pack them in the overture. But I wanted to find the themes first that I loved so that then I could pack those into the score. So I did it maybe potentially backwards, but I found a lot of great colors in the overture that then I like sprinkled and expanded upon throughout writing the show. Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
It's a tough one to answer, isn't it, in a short period of time?
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I heard it, I thought, I'm interested to see what you say to this one.
Yeah, and also like, I think I think it's important to, when you're writing like songs, pop songs, standalone songs, it's also kind of important to know like what your concept is. Sometimes I like to kind of know what I'm writing a little bit before what I'm trying to say before I start writing it. But there are times where I don't really know exactly what the hook is or what the chorus is or what I'm landing on. But it's we kind of want to anchor yourself so then you can write around it.
You want a kind of rough meaning behind your story.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so thank you for that question. That was a fantastic question. So the next question is from Zachary from Seattle, Washington.
Hi, my name is Zachary Kellogg and I'm from Seattle, Washington. My question is for Joey. How long did it take to learn Logic Pro and kind of learning the software and how to edit and all that kind of stuff? I'm just starting and it's pretty intimidating, so any help would be super appreciated. Thanks. Love your work.
That's for sure.
That's a great question. I'm still learning all of the things that Logic can do because Logic is such an incredible DAW to work with. I think it's. What do you all use?
I use Logic. Yeah.
So I use Studio One, which is similar. I started on Logic, so I learned everything on Logic.
Yeah, I think Logic is so intuitive for the most part. I feel like it is intimidating, but at the same time, it's so approachable. I think it's like both. And so I think, honestly, just watch some YouTube videos, watch like some intro to Logic. And once you learn where some of the things are, once you learn where like the libraries are for your software instruments, and once you learn how to put like an audio track, and then you learn how to like stack some plugins and some effects and stuff, like I think for the most part, you're pretty ready to go. I did teach a class once, and I was like, I realized how much I kind of like need to really break it down. Like you think like, oh, there's like 5 steps, but then there's actually a lot of sub steps in between that if the person doesn't know like where anything is. But I definitely think like YouTube videos are super helpful. And if you've used GarageBand at all, it's sort of just like an advanced version of GarageBand. GarageBand kind of has the same layout and whatnot. But I've learned so many cool things, even in like the last year of quarantine and lockdown and all that stuff. Like I've become more of my own producer, and that's been very empowering. And so I'm learning how to bust things and sum things and all that stuff. So,
oh, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff.
So much fun.
A steep learning curve. Such a steep learning curve. I mean, Logic and any DAW software is like, it can give you as much as you want, or like as little as you want to. Like you can go super simple and just only use it for recording, or you can use it for like pro audio end results where you are fully professionally mixing and mastering. So it's totally whatever Zach would kind of want as the aim, but it's the opportunities are endless, aren't they, Tom?
Yeah,
endless.
I mean, sure. YouTube videos are a great way to start. Like even just understanding how it works with an audio interface, for example, and how to plug a mic in. That's a great start. You've already started. You could do anything you want with that one step. Yeah. And then the best way to do it, mate, is just to plug something in, record something, and figure it out as you go. Watch YouTube videos. You're always going to be bad at something before you're good at it. So don't feel bad for not knowing what to do, because no one started off knowing exactly what to do. So
totally.
You're in good hands.
I love that. That's exactly well put. I think that the thing that always intimidates me is like I get impatient and I feel like I don't sound amazing, so what's the point? Or I'm not doing, like, you have to like remove that out of your mind and just be like, wow, I hooked up the mic and an input went in. Like,
exactly.
Sound went in.
High five.
Amazing.
Step 1. And you can learn everything else after that. But listen, it's always not going to sound great when you first do it. But persist, and work ethic goes an incredibly long way to learning. So if you've got that drive to learn, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So thanks for the question, mate, because I love that question as well. The next one is from Ellie from Milton Keynes in the UK.
Hi Joey. Congratulations on the In Pieces musical. The casting is incredible. But anyways, my question is, what is your proudest achievement so far? Thank you.
Oh, she's sweet.
Thank you. I'm very excited about In Pieces, which is the new my show that's now available for, I'm going to totally plug it right now. My show In Pieces, it's now available for licensing. So if any theaters or universities, schools, production companies, anybody wants to produce a production of my show In Pieces, go check out all the details on my website, joeycontreras.com. I think it's also /In Pieces if you want to go straight to the page. And there's going to be an album version of it coming out in a couple months, which I've been working on. And then they're producing a film of it in London right now. They're in rehearsals right now, which is so exciting. I'm very excited about that. So some of my biggest achievement, or one of my most excited, that's, I guess, the Japanese sausage commercial.
Yes, we're coming back round full circle, you guys. Full circle.
Made it full circle. I love that.
Yeah. And the fact that people all over the world sing my music, and it's very special. And I'm very touched by that. And yeah.
But most of all, the sausage commercial.
But most of all, which I never even got a to-go bag of it. Like I never even got like, they never sent me some, which I think
cheapskates.
Yeah.
You didn't get a sausage.
I know. And when we filmed
That's
it, we had to like, it wasn't even like fully cooked. So I actually don't really know how it tastes fully cooked. They would like every bite, because it was like slightly undercooked or raw. It was like you take a bite of it and then you had to spit it in a bucket and then set up for another take.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered your question, Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie, thanks for the question. And look out for that, because
I think you got the answer. Maybe not that you wanted, but you got an answer.
well, it's cool as well because where Ellie lives, you're saying it's filming in London. It's just down the road from you, Ellie. So look out for that.
Look out for that.
Yeah, I think they might actually. I don't know all the details, but I think they're pending on everything, there might be like a viewing of it, like very socially distant, but it's also going to be available for streaming and all that stuff. So I'm really excited about it. Stay tuned.
Yeah, lovely. We'll definitely be sharing that one. And our final question is from Andy from Johnston in the UK.
Hi, Joey. Just wondering like how you went about building credibility as a songwriter in the early days, and kind of what tips would you give to somebody who's trying to get their name out there?
Oh, good
question. I think to build credibility, I think just put out stuff that you feel really solid about first, and make sure that the way that you're delivering that song is in a high quality way, whatever that means to you. And if you are, writing songs for other people to sing, don't be shy. Just ask, reach out. Some people will not respond, but that shouldn't stop you. I was very fearless when I was younger, and I just reached out to people. I just,
why not? Yeah.
Why not? And yeah, I think that will, and just be a good person. Don't be weird. Honestly, just be like a genuine good person, because that's also so important.
That's a good point.
You said that spot on. Like, just be humble and be genuine, and it'll come in the end.
Be your most authentic self.
Exactly.
Okay?
I always say that the reason why, especially earlier when we were talking about food, I love talking about music and all of this, but I also love talking about food and just being a normal person. Who's the person that you're going to want to drink whiskey with? That to me is
spot on.
The person that I want to hang with and the person that I want to create with,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we like whiskey.
I love
a bit of whiskey. I love a bit of whiskey.
Feel wall of it.
Thank you for those questions, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand the reins back over to Andy. But thank you.
So I guess we'll wrap up the full episode. I mean, we have had so much fun, and on behalf of Tom and me, thank you so much, Joey, for coming on, sharing your music, sharing your sausage story. Honestly, it's been such good fun, and I've learned a lot, just from having this time with you, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to the podcast will have learned more about you, about your music and background, etc. It's all been super interesting stuff. I guess a perfect way to round it off would be what's next. You've already kind of mentioned in pieces, when can we expect that to hit release day?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the album is slated to come out. We're shooting for end of April, early May. So that is currently what's on the calendar for me. We're, finishing up the recording. This album has been recorded all over the place. A lot of it either here or remotely from other people. So that's been kind of, unique and cool. Nothing's going to stop us from creating. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then I'm always working on other stuff. I have other shows that I've been working on that are in various stages of development. And so if anybody wants to join the journey, to follow me on my socials. All that stuff will be there.
There we go.
Brilliant.
And of course, we'll post Joey's socials and all the good stuff in the description. Joey, you're an absolute gentleman, my friend. And again, just thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for coming on and chatting away with two British guys. I hope you understood everything we said. And
I did. My translator over on my side. I'm just kidding.
Perfect. Yeah. But
this is me toning it down, Joey. This is me toning it down.
Yeah, he's usually a lot worse. But yeah, thank you again, Joey. And just have the best day. And we'll be looking out for the release of In Pieces and the album and everything else you got going on. So
great. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have, gotten to know you guys, and I appreciate the offer to come on today.
Absolutely, mate.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks.